Have you ever had one of those nights where you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and this thought hits you? Is this really it? Not because you hate your life, not because anything is dramatically wrong, but because something feels off. You're busy every day. You check things off your to-do list. You scroll through endless feeds of news and notifications. And yet, when it's quiet, when there's nothing left to distract you, you feel empty. Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. We are not exhausted because we've done too much. We are exhausted because we've been exposed to too much. And the worst part, we've forgotten what silence even feels like. But what if I told you that the solution isn't in running away from the chaos, it's in walking straight through it? That instead of avoiding pain, fear, and discomfort, you could use them. This is what I call dark Stoicism, not the shallow version you see on Instagram with neat quotes and pretty backgrounds. I'm talking about the raw, unpolished, brutally honest version of Stoicism, the kind that Marcus Aurelius wrote alone in his tent while his empire was crumbling, the kind Epictetus taught, not from a palace, but as a man who had been a slave, the kind that Seneca held on to when he was ordered to take his own life. This is not about staying positive. This is about becoming untouchable. Now, if you stay with me for the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how, and I promise, it's not going to be easy, but it will change the way you see the world forever. Let's start with the truth that sits at the core of dark Stoicism. Life will hurt you, no matter who you are, no matter how safe you play it, no matter how much you avoid risk. The storm is coming. Maybe it's already here. Death, loss, betrayal, disappointment. This is the price of being alive. And if you keep pretending it's not, you will always be afraid. But here's what the Stoics knew. If you stare into the darkness long enough, you stop fearing it. Picture Marcus Aurelius again, the emperor of Rome, the most powerful man in the world. And yet, every night, he sat alone and wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Why would a man who has everything write that? Because he understood that power means nothing if you are still a slave to fear. By facing death, not avoiding it, he freed himself from it. And this is where we get it wrong today. We think strength is about control. We think if we make enough money, get enough comfort, build enough walls around ourselves, nothing can touch us. But comfort doesn't make you strong. Comfort makes you weak. The only way to be strong is to step into the fire. Let me give you a story. A friend of mine, Daniel, lost everything last year. Job gone. Relationship ended. He told me he felt like a ghost, just moving through the days, staring at screens, waiting for something to change. One night, he called me and said, "I don't even know who I am anymore." And I didn't give him some soft pep talk. I told him, "Stop running, sit with it, imagine the worst, imagine that nothing gets better. What do you do then?" He was silent for a long time. Then he said, "I guess I'd have to live anyway." That was the turning point. He stopped begging the world to get easier. He stopped hoping someone would save him. He looked at the darkness and he said, "If this is it, I'll walk through it anyway." And you know what happened? He got up the next day and started moving. Slowly, but with purpose. Now, a year later, he's not just back on his feet. He's stronger than he's ever been. Not because life got kinder, but because he got harder. That's dark Stoicism. So how do you get there? How do you build that kind of mind? There are 3 steps the Stoics lived by, and if you practice them, not just hear them, but live them, you will become unshakable. The first step: confront the worst-case scenario. Seneca said, "He who fears death will never do anything worth a man." Most of your fear doesn't come from reality. It comes from the unknown. You're terrified because you never stop to look the monster in the eye. What if you lose your job? What if they leave you? What if you fail? Don't run from it. Play it out in your mind. Ask yourself, if this happens, what will I do? When you do this, you'll see something strange happen. Your fear loses its teeth. This is exactly what Seneca practiced. He didn't just prepare for the worst. He lived it in his mind until it stopped scaring him. He understood that once you accept the worst, nothing the world throws at you can surprise you anymore. The second step, practice voluntary discomfort. We live in a world designed to keep us soft, heated homes, endless food, entertainment on demand. And yet, despite all this comfort, we're anxious, we're restless, we're weak. The Stoics would laugh at this. They knew comfort was a trap. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, slept on the ground some nights. Epictetus told his students to walk barefoot in the cold. Seneca fasted, wore rough clothing, and stripped himself of luxuries, not to punish himself, but to prove he didn't need them. Try this yourself. Take cold showers, skip a meal, leave your phone behind for a day, walk in the rain without an umbrella. Each time you do, you're training your mind to stop needing comfort. You're proving that you are bigger than your circumstances. And that brings us to the third step, Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. Now, people hear this and think it's depressing, but the Stoics didn't meditate on death to feel hopeless. They did it to feel alive. Because when you remember that your time is finite, you stop wasting it. You stop holding grudges. You stop waiting for the right moment. You stop scrolling away the only life you'll ever have. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When you remember you are mortal, every moment becomes sharper. You stop living like you have forever, and you start living like you have now. Let me give you another metaphor. Imagine your mind is a fortress. Every fear, every setback, every piece of bad news is like a siege against its walls. If the walls are weak, the enemy breaks through and you crumble. But every time you face the worst, every time you embrace discomfort, every time you remember your mortality, you lay another stone in that wall. One day the world comes for you again, but this time you're unshakable because you've built something that no one can take from you. So here's what I want you to do. Tonight, before you sleep, write these 3 things down. 1 fear you will confront. Don't run from it. Look at it until it loses its power. 1 act of discomfort you will choose tomorrow. Cold shower, fasting, a hard workout. It doesn't matter. Just prove to yourself that you are stronger than your comfort. And 1 reminder that you will die, not to be afraid of it, but to let it sharpen your life. If you do this every day for the next 30 days, you will change. You will stop hoping for an easy life and start becoming strong enough for a hard one. And when that happens, you won't need motivation. You won't need someone to save you. You won't need life to be fair. You'll be the kind of person Marcus Aurelius was writing for, the kind who walks into the storm and keeps walking, because the storm is no longer stronger than you. So let me leave you with this. Stop waiting for the world to calm down. Stop waiting for the fear to disappear. Stop waiting for life to hand you peace. You don't find peace, you build it. 1 fear faced, 1 hardship embraced, 1 moment remembered. This is dark Stoicism, and if you live it, nothing can touch you. Not fear, not failure, not even death. Now, go and build that fortress.